Good morning. Chairman Pope and the committee, thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to you about the Convention of States. Retired from the Navy after 21 years. Country, ended up down in South Carolina chasing my grandkids, retired. Woke up, thought the world was fine, but realized that it wasn't, and looked into the problems that we have in our country, and the solution popped off the page. Bought a copy of Mark Levin's book when it came out, August 2013. Coincidentally, same time that Mike Ferris kicked off the Convention of States project. I immediately signed up and been working on it since then. So, what I want to do is give you some information about what we think is necessary to be done in a more specific manner. But I want to start with, in 1830, a letter to Edward Everett, James Madison wrote, quote, "Should the provisions of the Constitution as here reviewed be found not to secure the government rights of the states against usurpations and abuses on the part of the United States, the final resort within the purview of the Constitution lies in an amendment to the Constitution according to the processes applicable by the states," close quote. So in other words, Article 5 is the ultimate nullification procedure. For states that have the will to stand up and assert their 10th Amendment rights, they can do so by applying for an Article 5 convention to propose amendments that restrain federal power. My purpose here is to help you understand there's not a single amendment. It's important to note that a convention for an individual amendment would be limited to a single idea. My purpose today is to help you understand that requiring a balanced budget is an idea that the Convention of States supports. Congress, however, could comply with a balanced budget amendment by simply raising taxes. We at the Convention of States believe that structural changes are necessary to stop the out-of-control federal government. We need spending restraints as well. We need restraints on taxation. We need to give states power to rescind improper federal regulations. We need to give the states power to rescind improper Supreme Court decisions. We need to stop unfunded mandates. We need to give the states power to rescind bad laws. We need a redefinition of the General Welfare Clause. We need a redefinition of the Commerce Clause. We need to prohibit international treaties and law from governing or the supreme domestic law of the United States. We need a limitation on executive orders and federal regulations to enact laws. We need term limits on Congress and possibly the Supreme Court. We need an upper limit of all existing federal taxes and the supermajority vote to replace them with new, fairer taxes. So I'll leave you with a couple of quotes from notable people who have been in Congress and support the Convention of States. First one is from Senator Tom Gohmert. And quote, he says, "A real solution to the fiscal insanity must go deeper than the parchment solve of a balanced budget. A real solution must restore meaningful limitations on the size, scope, and jurisdiction of the federal government, curtailing its ability to dabble and manage the Constitution does not delegate to it, but reserves to the states and the people. In short, we need to make the federal government look a lot more like the one laid out in the Constitution. There's a path that will get us there. The only solution big enough to confront our federal problems is the tool for a constitutional amendment provided to our state legislators in Article 5. The time is now for the states to band together to pass the Convention of States resolution, which sets the agenda for the meeting of the states to draft proposed amendments that will impose fiscal constraints on Washington, limit its power of jurisdiction, and set term limits on its federal process is that we, the people, have the final say in approving the amendments. Only proposals that are ratified by 3/4 of the states supported by an overwhelming majority of Americans become part of the Constitution." And he closes by saying, "Let's not waste any more time. Let's heed cries for help from our nation's capital," close quote. From the Convention of States founder, Michael Ferris, quote, "The BBA project has been underway for over 40 years and has secured a variety of applications in a great number of states. However, determining the current number of states that have a valid pending BBA application presents a challenge. Two issues make counting difficult. First, there's a significant variance among the language of the various BBA applications, which raises potential problems with aggregation. Second, many states have rescinded their prior applications. The Convention of States project is working to pass applications with the identical operative language in 34 states, and of course, as Bob mentioned, or Bill has mentioned, we've passed that in 15 states now. This ensures that no issue of aggregation can arise. Moreover, no states have rescinded from Texas, Representative Louis Gohmert, and his Convention of States endorsement letter. Quote, "Let me be clear, great Americans whom I hold in high esteem have expressed grave concerns over Runaway Convention. I believe that if a state limits the issues upon which its delegates are authorized to attend, then that state may not be bound by unauthorized actions, limiting the ability to have a feared runaway convention. A convention of states could ensure, for example, a balanced budget amendment is enacted. On this issue, please allow me to warn that during my time in Congress, it has become abundantly clear that it is easier to raise fees, penalties, or even taxes than it is to make actual cuts. Because of this, if we have a balanced budget amendment without a restraint on spending, the BBA will be used as an excuse to raise taxes, fees, or penalties because we have no choice under the BBA. It will be heard over and over again until spending and taxes spiral so high they could close our nation." So in closing, let me say, we believe the Convention of States is the only opportunity that we will have in our lifetimes to make a change in the federal government and turn back the progressive tide and begin to move back to a constitutional republic. I respectfully implore you to vote yes to move this legislation forward and not deny the will of people of South Carolina and this opportunity to save our constitutional republic.
Go to conventionofstates.com, press the button, sign the petition. More importantly, get 10 of your friends to do the same. When you sign the petition, then that sends a letter to your state legislator. You go on the list in their district as a supporter. We deliver those lists to the state legislators. It means something to them.